Physiology of cell membrane. To study and understand the structure of the cell membrane. Human beings are multicellular organisms. On zooming into the neck region and then to the thyroid gland, numerous dividing cells are observed. These cells, like all other cells, are the structural and functional unit of life. The cell membrane or the plasma membrane envelopes each cell. It is instrumental in the maintenance of the internal environment of the cell. A closer look at the membrane shows phospholipids and protein molecules. Cell membranes are composed of two layers of phospholipids, hence known as bilayer arrangement. The phospholipid molecules have polar hydrophilic heads and non-polar hydrophobic tails. Thus, they are amphipathic in nature. The phospholipids are arranged in such a manner that the heads form the outer and inner surface of the membrane and the tails are sandwiched in between. This arrangement forms a water-resistant barrier which allows only lipid materials to pass through it. Let us study the different types of proteins found on the cell membrane. Some protein molecules are seen floating in the phospholipid bilayer like mobile icebergs. There are peripheral proteins located on the surface of the membrane. However, they do not cover the entire surface of the phospholipid matrix. Scattered in the phospholipid matrix are the integral proteins. They are tightly held in place by strong polar heads and non-polar tail of lipid molecules. Few integral proteins help in the passage of water-soluble materials. Hence, integral proteins make the plasma membrane behave as a selectively permeable membrane. It allows some molecules to pass through it, but does not allow others. Moreover, transport across the membrane is aided by globular proteins, which are of different types. Channel proteins help in facilitated diffusion and provide passage for hydrophilic substances. There are some globular proteins known as the transport proteins, which have a site for the attachment of ATP molecule. This facilitates the transportation of substances against the concentration gradient. This type of transportation is known as active transport. There are some proteins called the recognition proteins which help to tag the cell to be recognized by immune cells. Other proteins associated with the cell membrane adhere to the extracellular matrix and coordinate changes occurring in the cell. A receptor protein has a binding site for a specific chemical messenger called hormone. Finally, when hormone binds to this protein, it activates the transport protein on the cell membrane, thus allowing necessary molecules to pass through. As the receptor discharges the hormone, the transmembrane pore reorients to its original state. So, further entry of molecules in the cell stops. Recapitulation. To conclude, we can say that the cell membrane has a protein-lipid bilayer. Different types of proteins are present on the membrane. The channel proteins facilitate the passage of hydrophilic substances. The transport proteins associate with ATP molecules and aid in active transport of substances. Recognition proteins help in cell-to-cell recognition. Receptor proteins are associated with transmembrane pores, working together to regulate the entry of required substances.